My name is Dom Douglas, and I've been playing Magic the Gathering for what seems like forever, but in fact it's only been on and off for about 30 years. With that comes an expectation that I'm the best player ever. You couldn't be any more wrong in that statement. What I do like, however, is having a lot of fun. Whether it be playing Limited, Draft, Commander, Standard when I get the chance, Arena, Magic the Gathering Online, it doesn't matter as long as a good time is had. And with that, I have some opinions, not just of Magic the Gathering, but also video games, comics, maybe even a TV show or two. This is the Goblin Grenade Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you noticed something different with that intro. Thank you, Cam Jackson, for the music. That is my theme for XWW at the shows. And speaking of XWW, we're with the sister company today, Max Heroes and Villains YouTube channel. My name is Dom Douglas. This is the Goblin Grenade Podcast, and we're going to kick things off here in rather dramatic fashion with, oh no, bad news. Aetherdrift exists. If you don't know, before we kick things off, my name is Dom Douglas. I've been playing Magic the Gathering on and off for about 30 years. Yes, that long. Almost since the beginning. And this is the podcast where I like to talk about things. And today, if you want to throw a like, a comment, a subscribe, be my guest. If you like what I'm hearing, if you don't agree with me, which is a civil thing to do, respectfully, leave a comment down below and we can have some discourse here and we can have a discussion about my views and opinions and why you could actually correct me on a few things. I will never be 100% correct on everything, nor will I ever claim to be. That's the biggest mistake a human being can make. So, Aetherdrift. First topic at hand today. And I don't like being 100% negative. There were some aspects of Duskmourn that I liked, card design wise, and that is a set that last year I had said was the worst thing that Wizards of the Coast has done in a long time. Only for Aetherdrift to say, you know what? I saw all that discussion and topics and people saying that Duskmourn's the worst set ever made. I think I can do better. And oh boy, did Duskmourn not have long at the top of the worst list, if you want to catch my drift here of Aether. And that's about that pun is the only good thing that will come out of this set, in my honest opinion. Look, Aetherdrift is a flavor fail, a power creep fail, because it's all much better replacements for cards you currently own in Standard, along with just a horrible draft environment. And I get it. Some people do generally like it, but the vast majority do not. And my purview on this, the actual what my eyes saw, the store I went to play my first draft in, and mind you, we're on March 4th, so this was a week ago. This was February. I got to pull up on my calendar here. February 28th, the last day of February. Okay. I was like, all right, let me go out and draft the set. I flipped a coin in my head between SCG Con this weekend and actually just going to a store, and I chose going to a store because I couldn't justify spending at that point, between getting there, food, entry, $200 for maybe 7 hours of Magic, which I easily could have done and did at my local gaming store. I was doing everything along of just being, maybe I should do this. But I couldn't justify because they didn't have any day passes that I was aware of that I saw on the website. So couldn't buy a weekend, didn't want to buy a weekend pass for almost $100, which is a deal, phenomenal deal for the Commander stuff and the events. But I'd be only using one of them, maybe two tops. And I just didn't feel like it. So got to the store early, bought some cards, bought some decks, bought protectors, bought some sleeves and all that other stuff like I normally do when it's been a hot minute since I've been in my LGS in a draft environment type of scenario. And lo and behold, I'm kind of told that the draft for Aetherdrift might not fire off. There was a rapid decline in drafting. And now this store is a Diamond or above WPN. They are a top tier participating event store. And for me to be told that the Aetherdrift draft might not fire off is a huge problem. And they were like, we don't know what we're going to do. We might throw another draft in there, but tonight's going to be Aetherdrift, and in the future we're going to adjust accordingly. And I was like, if it doesn't happen to be Aetherdrift, I'm always down for Bloomburrow or Foundations. Not going to lie, Bloomburrow and Foundations are two phenomenal sets to draft in. Unfortunately, with Aetherdrift, it seems like it's a complete car wreck, pun intended, of a set. The cards aren't fun to draft. Sealed, it was a different story. It was kind of interesting because I did the sealed event and I went 2-1, but overall, the set is just a fail, and I bought a finish line bundle. So I was kind of hyped for the set to see what they were going to do, and in looking at it, between the first place foil cards, which are absolutely disgusting to look at, I'm sorry. The yellow, some people have called it a certain card. A bathroom break treatment. And I agree. They look terrible. The Rat Think art for the alternate cards, I get with the set. Those are, I don't have a problem with that. The bonus sheet artwork is weird. And then like the graffiti gear hulks. Where's the magic in the Magic, the Gathering set? Because remember, we only get 3 Magic the Gathering sets this year. I don't know why I screwed this up. I went for 3 and the quotations at the same time. I just woke up like an hour or 2 ago. And I'm only on 1 cup of coffee. This is the second, so bear with me. But we only get 3 now a year traditional Magic sets. The other 3 are Universes Beyond, and they've all been announced this year. So it's the race car drivers. It was the Duskmourn concept. Duskmourn I didn't like as a set. I liked as a concept, but like between the sneakers and the TVs and the radios and the modernization of that set, I didn't like it. It fell flat on its face. Murders at Karlov Manor is often cited as one of the worst visually conceptual sets, but the cards were decent. The flavor was there, detectives and all that. They just went a little too aggressive with fedoras. And I think story-wise, because they shoehorned in all of these previously known characters, that you couldn't do much. I think I think Karlov Manor would have been an amazing story if it was like the seedy underbelly of Ravnica with a bunch of new characters that happen to be detectives, like the street level police departments and whatever Magic would call them and whatnot, detective agencies and all this other stuff, and barely use any named characters, and not just not even name the characters either, but that's a whole different story. Then Thunder Junction was the Cowboys Bing Bing. Don't demonetize me, YouTube, for doing the finger pistols. And that also was a fail. So, flavor-wise, they haven't had many good sets. And Aetherdrift was, this year, to start the year, because Ravnica had the Ravnica remastered set had its own set of problems. Not a good start to the year. Now, that being said, Dragonstorm Tarkir is looking really good. Really, really good, and I'm really hyped for that set. So hopefully that's a more traditional Magic theme story setting, because we have Final Fantasy, which is, okay, on theme, brand. It makes sense. Kind of like how Lord of the Rings fit perfectly in with the Magic Gathering. But then Spider-Man and Avatar: The Last Airbender. Two franchises which could be the exact opposite direction of a traditional Magic set. They made it work with the Warhammer set and the Doctor Who stuff a little bit. Warhammer was the more known. Fallout, I loved the Fallout commanders, but definitely not Magic the Gathering. So nobody drafted the set up until like half hour later. It was a half hour late, and they barely got 6 people to draft the set. They didn't even bother asking me, because I said I wasn't going to draft Aetherdrift either. If it was Bloomburrow or Dusk or Foundations, get me. But instead it was that. So I played a bunch of Commander, and the flip to that side is I had fun Commander games, but please, 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 at least give the bracket systems a chance. Because I was at a pod where it was a new player, me, who actually cares and explains, and an established player that had some fun. We all had fun. But the last game was definitely, of the 3, was definitely, the combo player comboed off on a gross misrepresentation of a bracket, or because they didn't want to have that conversation. They just wanted to say the power levels. And I was like, all right, well, I'm playing an above average precon. First game was a precon, 2 precons, and then me. I was playing Old Rutstein, which is fair graveyard recursion, and that means all my graveyard shenanigans cost 5 or more. And it's fair. I'm not infinitely milling and drawing and all that other stuff. And it was 2 precons, me and the other player who had a powered down commander, which was okay. And then the second game, the person to the left of me brought a very upgraded Warhammer deck. Other person still had precon because they were brand new to the game. I brought out Zada, and then they brought out their mono black goblins. And they literally, in the first game, me and them were trading for cards for his deck. Like, we did a trade mid game. Wow. So they can complete their mono black goblins deck. And then it comboed off in the second game. And then last game, it was a 3-person pod because the new player had to leave after 2 games. The first game was an hour and a half. So they were not quick games by any stretch of the imagination, which is okay. Then kind of happens where if you have these conversations and you say, hey, I'm going to combo off, the rest of the table can know, like, you have a combo capability. So when you start playing Goldfish for 10 minutes to try to find your combo, they did admit, I'm sorry about that for playing Solitaire. But, it's a learning moment. I'm like, hey, that's what the new system's for. It's just to kind of explain everything. Like, I broke my deck down. Like, I'm playing Chatterfang. It's squirrel tokens. I want to double everything, take everything out, and make tokens on more tokens and more tokens. But I'm saying have those conversations because you won't have what happened to me in the third game, which wasn't disappointing at all. We were playing very fun. It was a very fun game up until the 10-minute solitaire turn. While all this is going down, the 6 people playing in the draft happened. So, yeah. So that was Aetherdrift. I I want to follow this up. I want to bounce it up from Magic Gathering, video game, Magic Gathering, video game. Our second topic. And this might be a very quick one because this is just an opinion, even though they all are for me, of Path of Exile 1's Legacy of Phreesia event, or whatever it's called. Path of Exile is a super hardcore action RPG. I will phrase it if you've never heard of them. You've probably heard of this game. It is called a Diablo clone. It's just gross misunderstanding of what this game is. But easy to point, a super hardcore version of a Diablo game. And they did a micro event because the next season for the game isn't dropping anytime soon. Usually they'll have like these style of games, action RPGs is what they're normally called. Well, we'll have every couple of months a new gimmick, a new thing for to draw players back into the game and let you continue to do the same thing over and over again. And I love doing the same thing over and over again in action RPGs. Trust. But Path of Exile 1, because of the second game and all the work being put into the second game, that is an early access that I am playing, they have to kind of abandon the new season. So they're ending right now. The season that's on, the Settlers of Khadgar, has been going on for 4 or 5 months now, and usually it's a 12-week season. So it's usually a 3-month season, and so players were not happy with it. So they quickly whipped together something called the Legacy of Phreesia event, which takes the leveling of powers to a whole different state. There's a thing in the game called ascendancies, where each class has 3 of them, but you have to fight your way through a dungeon maze, beat the boss, and then you get the ability to pick one of your ascendancies, which juices your character even more power. Say you're an archer, and this is not in game, I'm just giving you an example. My archer can now, fire 4 arrows instead of 2, and I spend less resources doing it, when I have the ascendancy power. It makes your characters more powerful. But each class only has 3 of them. Well, now this time, they've gotten rid of most of those and instead replaced them with 19. The original 19 are ascendancy classes are replaced with more unusual classes that were wacky ideas that never made it off the brainstorm board, according to GGG, Grinding Gear Games, the developers of Path of Exile 1 and 2. But the grid for Atlas tree, which is endgame, which is mapping, you're basically trying to fight more and more powerful maps, and you have your own experience level up board for that. They got rid of that and replaced it with an idol system. You have X amount of spots in your map, in your idol map talisman thing, that you can place idols in. And each of them do different things. The problem is now you have to grind more for what you want, or use in-game currency to barter with other players to get what you want. See, with me, when it comes to the maps, I like the Cassia events, which are basically a tower defense, and I like doing that content because I can, in the Atlas tree, spec into making it easier, having more things to do in it, getting better items dropped, getting more quality items, and having a better experience because I like doing the Sister Cassia events. Whereas now I have to grind for idols to get the Sister Cassia events, to the point that when I was playing it, I played it because every 20 levels in this event, you get an extra cosmetic piece, up to level 80. I played to level 80 and I was like, cool, I got my 4 cosmetics. I'm back to Path of Exile 2. And so basically I couldn't spec out into the Cassia events and got stuck doing the content that I just do not like. the contracts I just picked up in a vain attempt to sell. There's so much content in the game that I don't like. If you're familiar with Path of Exile, if it's not Sister Cassia, I don't care for it. And now I'm shoehorned into doing the altar stuff and all the content that I don't like. Delve mechanics and the silly little Shadows of Mordor, Lord of the Rings style, where you have to fight the enemies and interrogations and all that. Don't like any of that content. Just give me all the Sister Cassia tower defense stuff, please. It's easy for me. I'm old. I don't have the finger dexterity anymore to do combos. That's why I can't play fighting games. So after that, there's been some pushback on the event, obviously. I play on Xbox, and the population, because of 2 and the fact that, the previous season is still going on and will be going on for apparently 3 to 4 more months at the earliest, and this event not really hitting a home run, you could feasibly say that the Xbox One Path of Exile community is down to maybe a few hundred. And it shows, because the problems with the Xbox One and X versions, I don't know how it is on PlayStation side of Path of Exile 1. Nobody ever prices their stuff ever on the auction blocks. Nobody does. And those who do just made up an arbitrary price that they're not going to honor. If you're going to put stuff in your auction house in Path of Exile 1 on Xbox, price it accordingly, please. Go to POE trade on the computers, or open up the trade website on your browser in game on console and check to see what these things are actually selling for. So I don't try in a desperate attempt to get a 4-linked bow to buy 8 pieces of currency to try to get a 4-link bow, and I ask the price that they're asking for, and they reject me. So as soon as I hit level 80, I was out. Went back to Path of Exile 2, and it was a rough adjustment because it's a completely different control scheme, but I feel right now at this moment, Path of Exile 2 is obviously the superior game to Path of Exile 1, and that's because it's the new thing, and a lot of mistakes that Path of Exile 1 has made, Path of Exile 2 is trying to avoid, but also presenting a few more problems. Look, I get it, Path of Exile 2. You want to wear your Diablo 2 hardcore heart on your sleeve. You want to be the hardiest of hardcore action ARPGs out there on the market. Pause for a second. Think about it. There's a lot of design choices in this game that are meant for the top 2% of the players that play your game. Stuff like when you get into endgame maps, you get one shot, one crack. And if you die because you had a half-second hesitation or you made the one mistake out of the 1,000 choices that you had to make up until that point, you have to play perfectly all the time. I do not like that. That is placating the top tier 2% of the people that play your game. Because there's not many people, shockingly, not many people get to where even I'm at. And I'm only at level 10 maps. There's still 7 or 8 more levels to go and the endgame content. And I'm in that weird zone of probably right before like a little, I'm definitely past casual. I'm not a casual player, but I'm still technically casual, but like right below hardcore try hard. Like, I'm in that zone. And full disclosure, Settlers of Calgar, which is the last season in Path of Exile 1, that is the furthest in mapping I ever got in the game. And I've played that game for 8 years now at this point on console. I've been playing that long, Path of Exile 1, and this past season was the furthest I've ever gotten. I'm like level 93 or something like that. I've never hit 90 before, but yet this season I did. So what I'm saying is, GGG, I know you're not grinding your games. That's what GGG stands for. I know you don't watch this because it's a Magic the Gathering and nerd-related podcast, and, you know, I'm a small guy. But there's many more of us than the hardcores. I wouldn't even, like, the hardcore 2%ers that have cleared all the content and made 7 characters just to clear the content with each one. When it comes to maps, at least give us another shot or two so I don't have to, like, play perfectly for hours and hours on end. And I'm super punished for making one mistake out of the 1,000 options that I had. Picture that. Like, you're playing a game and everything... You have to play perfectly. Every button press has to be exact, and you have to do 1,000 of them. And on the 1,001st one, you screw up. Obviously, nobody's perfect. I said that in the beginning of this podcast. I'm not perfect, nor will I ever claim to be. You lose everything. I don't even mind the XP hit that you get on death when you hit a certain level. I really don't. Like that. That's determining. That's giving me a little bit of more determination to, like, actually play hard and actually try my best. But my best ain't good enough sometimes. And there are certain days that I can't play Path of Exile 2 because I'm like, well, I don't want to die because I just don't have it. My hands are hurting right now because I did so much research, or I played Magic the Gathering all day and wound up slicing my finger on a card sleeve. That's my only complaint. I'm loving Path of Exile 2 so far. I think it's going to set the bar for all other action ARPGs out there, from control and design to everything they've done. It's a beautiful game. It's an amazing game. It's fun to play. It's just the end game is where certain things bother me a little bit. So we've hit Path of Exile 1 and 2, and now we're going to hit our third topic as the screen lights up because I have to click on my other monitor. The first 6 Spider-Man cards were spoiled in a scene set. Kind of like how Lord of the Rings got a couple of them. I got the Helm's Deep one. And it was interesting. I'm just going to read a little bit of the article and then go over, like right now on camera, like when I start going over the cards and whatnot. Are you ready to do whatever a spider can? Magic the Gathering Marvel's Spider-Man arrives September 26, 2025. Pardon me. Bringing many spider heroes of the Marvel Universe to Magic the Gathering. Follow Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, and many recognizable masked faces from Marvel's history. So you confirm Miles Morales already in this game. Already in this set, I mean. The Spider-Man details, you can see the expansion symbols, and I don't know what the MAR expansion is. I guess that's bonus sheet stuff, but they don't say anything about it because in legal, remember, this is the first Universes Beyond set that is standard legal. The legality is standard legal, eternal legal, our Commander, Legacy, and Vintage legal. The MSRP we're going to begin with, and they warned us that they're going to be more expensive, and this is where I 1,000% disagree with Wizards of the Coast here. The MSRP for Spider-Man will be as follows. The normal basic play booster, $7. The collector booster, $38. The bundle, $70. The scene box, $42. This is a marked increase in pricing for the same cardboard that was just $5 in Aetherdrift. And apparently they've already said all the Universes Beyond products are going to have specialty pricing on it. For some reason, there is no legitimately valid reason why the price increase for the Universes Beyond sets have to exist, other than paying for the licensing. But because you're a billion-dollar company, that Magic the Gathering is really Hasbro is the only reason why you still exist. There's no reason for this other than greed. And I'm going to say it, and you're going to say, oh, it's consumerism and all that other stuff. It's like, there's no difference between this set and Aetherdrift. None. The packs are exactly the same. 14 cards and a token. That's it. And now there's a $2 to $3 price increase because Marvel's name is slapped on it. Why? I mean, I got it with the Commander decks because that was the only product released on the Warhammer and the Fallout and the Doctor Who. But there's no reason for this. The other thing they didn't release was Commander products either on this for the MSRPs. So what does that mean? Wizards is usually going to like pounce on this and they're giving us information right now for a set that doesn't come out till September, but they're not giving us the Commander prices. And it's also available for pre-order right now. And don't worry if you're too late, if you will, for any of the things that you could have possibly pre-ordered. There's going to be tons more. This is Marvel. Then again, I said that about the set, the starter set for Foundations, and I haven't been able to find it in store at all. So go figure. That being said, the first 6 cards from this scene set are the following. Grasping Tentacles for 1 blue and a black. It is a sorcery. Target opponent mills 8 cards. 8 cards. You may put an artifact card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So we are already outrageously overpowering things. For 3 mana for a sorcery, you get to mill 8 and then put an artifact from a player's graveyard. From that player's graveyard under your control. Mill didn't need any more help. By the way, Mill is my least favorite mechanic of all of Magic the Gathering. I hate Mill decks. I don't like it. It's Old Man Screams at Sky because this is a very... Within the last 8 years or so is where my pure animosity towards Mill has taken place. But already, it's overpowered. It's stupid. Venom Deadly Devourer is our first creature. 2, a black and a green for a legendary creature, Symbiote Villain. A 4/4 with Vigilance and Menace, which is an interesting combination that you don't see too much of. And then for 3 generic mana, exile target creature card from a graveyard. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on target symbiote, where X is the exile's card's toughness. So what does that tell me? We're going to have more symbiotes in this set. We might have Carnage. We might have a different version of Venom. We might have a few symbiotes rocking the place. We might even get the Secret Wars Spider-Man, where Venom was introduced originally. I know my comic things are a thing or two. And by the way, these cards are only available in the scene box. So you get these 6 and some other things for $42. Green Goblin Nemesis is our next card up. It's 2 black and a red for a legendary creature, Goblin Human Villain. I love that it's a goblin. Goblin subtype for Green Goblin. I love it. It's a 3/3. With flying, when you discard a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on target goblin you control. Whenever you discard a land card, create a tapped treasure token. I'm getting some Bone Miser effects here a little bit. No lands, but not making lands, but we're We're not making mana with it unless you count the treasure tokens, but you know, I can see this being slotting in to Anji if I ever rebuild it. Or just yeah, like I can definitely see me slotting Green Goblin in my Anji deck. Then we have Doc Ock, Evil Inventor, 5 a blue and a black for a legendary creature, human scientist villain, who's an 8/8. It is an 8/8, which is amazing because usually your octopuses in Magic the Gathering are around that time. Plus, it's Doc Ock, so he's got. I love the flavor. I hate the pricing. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target non-creature artifact you control becomes an 8/8 robot villain artifact in addition to its other types. It's a flavor win. Flavor win right there. Once again, these cards are only available in the scene box. And then Sensational Spider-Man for 1 white and a blue for a legendary creature, Spider Human Hero. He's a 3/3. And whenever a Sensational Spider-Man attacks, tap target creature defending player controls, put a stun counter on it. Then you may remove up to 3 stun counters from among all permanents. Draw cards equal to the number of stun counters removed this way. That's kind of on brand for Spider-Man. And I know a bunch of, I'm not going to say anything bad, people out there on the internet are already complaining that Spider-Man's not red and blue. They already messed it up. It's a flavor fail. You know, Spider-Man, the hero who often pulls his punches against villains because he is that powerful. Let Spider-Man not fool you. You FO with Spider-Man, and he will legitimately make you into a puddle of what a human being or whatever you were used to be. Spider-Man is such a hero that he often Supermans himself and pulls his punches. He's done it time and time again. He even says it. He could easily wipe out the entire Sinister Six. But heroes tend not to unalive people. And you want to make, and y'all complaining the first Spider-Man card revealed isn't blue and red because that's Spider-Man's colors. Red, the color of aggro, the color of blasphemous act, of lightning bolt, of lightning strike, of shock, torch the tower, torch the witness. May I go on? That Spider-Man doesn't do that. Pretty sure there's other Spider-Men that do. Just saying. So, stop clutching your pearls. You're gonna get your Is It Spider-Man in the base set. It's just not sensational because that's what sensational doesn't do that. It'd be funny if it was the red-blue one was when Doc Ock was in Spider-Man's mind. And then finally, Pumpkin Bombs, 1 and a red for an artifact. Tap to discard 2 cards, draw 3 cards, then put a fuse counter on this artifact. It deals damage equal to the number of fuse counters on it to target opponent. They gain control of this artifact. Yo, I love this card so much. When I first read it, I love it so much. Look, you discard and draw 3, okay? Then it deals damage equal to the amount of times that was done to an opponent. Then, as a, hey man, hey, I'm sorry about this. Here you go. You get to do the same. So you could do weird arrangements where you just have one side of the table trading off in Commander Pumpkin Bomb after Pumpkin Bomb until it becomes a point where you can't do it anymore or you're going to die. Pumpkin Bomb is a win, and that's the worst part. So far, the cards that have been revealed for the Spider-Man set, these 6 and a few others that I've seen that I can't confirm, flavor wins. I just hate the pricing, and I really don't like Universes Beyond stuff now that they're all in standard, and we're getting 3 a year. If it was 1 a year, that's okay. That's passable. But now it's every other set is going to be a Universes Beyond set, on top of the fact that the last 5 or so Magic the Gathering sets really haven't been Magic the Gathering except for Foundations and Bloomburrow. And then this is what that scene looks like. I mean, these are awesome. I love the Lord of the Rings one I got, even if they gave me a second copy of a card that I didn't want in there. I couldn't complete my scene because Oops, but it was the last one they had. What are they going to do? Like, exchange it? That's the one I wanted. Besides, I got the Legolas's bow or whatever it was. So this is the scene. And then they revealed also that the inverted triangle on Universes Beyond on the bottom of the card, to differentiate it from like a normal Magic set to Universes Beyond, they're getting rid of it. Now they're all just all Magic cards are going to be the oval now. So they've gotten rid of the Universes Beyond branding because all Universes Beyond sets moving forward are now being designed for Standard in mind. Which makes sense because Standard used to be, as I said before, the entry point to Magic the Gathering. It was never really Commander up until about 8 years ago, or between 5 and 8 years ago is when Commander started being the Magic the Gathering entry point. It used to be Standard. Now they want to pull people back into Standard because you go from Standard, and then when you're done with Standard, or after a bit, or you want something new, then you expand to Modern, Pioneer, Commander, Brawl. Nobody plays Brawl and Paper Trust. Oathbreaker. You will go to one of those things. And then the product details. This is where it gets interesting. Play boosters. Once again, we've already talked about pricing on these, and $8 for 14 cards. And collector boosters, $38 for 15 cards, and all of them are going to be foiled, pringled. They better not be pringled, by the way. They better have their A game on this printing, because this is a very important set for Magic the Gathering. If this set isn't gangbusters, okay, if this set doesn't top Lord of the Rings or comes close to topping Lord of the Rings for sales, it is a disappointment, and it will be considered a dud, even though it'll be the second most bought set in Magic's history. This needs to be the most bought set in Magic the Gathering's history. Final Fantasy doesn't need it. The Avatar: The Last Airbender doesn't need to be that. This one does, because that's how big of an IP the Marvel is. Disney owns Marvel. Like, come on. That's the crazy part. Disney's got Lorcana, and Marvel cards are in Magic the Gathering. So that's how important this deal is for Wizards of the Coast. And more importantly, Hasbro, because I don't know if you know, or if you've looked into Hasbro recently, Magic the Gathering is the only thing keeping this company alive. It's definitely not Dungeons & Dragons, even though it is helping. It is Magic the Gathering. It is a license to print money and has been since the world shut down. For about a year and a half. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Then there's the bundles, which come with 9 packs. 30 basic land, which I guess means just one of each full art basic, and then 5 of each regular basic lands. An alternate art promo, 2 reference cards, a spin down die, and a Magic the Gathering Marvel card storage box. And then the showdown scene, which is the first 6 cards that we saw, also comes with 3 play boosters, 6 art cards, and a display easel. But we're not done yet, folks. We got 5 welcome decks. We got white, which is, I think the blue one is Spider-Man 2099. I know that's Venom in the black. I know that's Gwen, I think, in the red. And then in the green, I don't know who that is. That could be Miles Morales. My comic knowledge goes not... There's a small gap. There's a small frame for my comic knowledge, but man, do I know a lot about it. And then this is the welcome decks to teach people how to play the game. Each box contains the following: 2 30-card half decks. Of the 2 half decks, one will match the welcome deck box. The others are randomly inserted from among the other options. And there are 5 different monocolored half decks. This basically just say, hey, all right, in your first turn, you play a land, you draw a card, just teaching people how to play. And then the pre-release kit is 6 packs, a foil, a deck box, a spin down from 5 different color variants. That is all they've exposed. They've info dumped stuff till the end of the year. We already have the Edge of Eternity's product line. Okay. There is still no Commander decks put out. They did not advertise anything on the Commander decks. So I've got 1 or 2 ideas. One is more radical than the other, and I don't think is going to happen. I think there might only be 2 commander decks in this product, and they're going to be super expensive. Because this could be, and I'm just shooting off the hip here, but this could be like the 2 commander decks are super premium, not foil, but super premium tier commander decks. Like, these are not going to be considered precons. In bracketing, these would be considered a 3 or a low 4 with no game changers. Or there are none. If there are no commander products for Spider-Man, which would shock me, maybe I'm okay with Dragonstorm having 5 precons. Who knows? But it's definitely telling to me that they have not released the precons, or how many there are, or what the price point would be for them. Something to think about in the future when they eventually announce what's going on with the Spider-Man precons, the Spider-Man Commander product. And the final bit of news, actually, it's going to take place in a little bit. I'm trying to do this podcast before the Gilded Goblins Galore event start in Diablo 4. The one thing I will say about Diablo 4, I've been playing it since day one. It's honestly baby's first ARPG. But I've been a fan of the franchise forever. I mean, I've been playing, like, all those years ago when the first game came out, my friend, I was staying at his house, he let me play it. I started playing when they went to bed at like 10 o'clock at night, and I was playing. They went to work the next day then they got up at 7 in the morning. My ass was still playing. And ever since then, it has been ARPG, has been my favorite franchise. Real close second when I was really good at them, first-person shooters like Halo. Halo and Call of Duty. But now it's ARPGs, and Diablo 4 is baby's first ARPG. I'm not going to deny that. They're called Diablo clones. They were called Diablo clones for a reason, by the way. So, from today, March 4th, 1 o'clock, till March 11th, a variety of goblins are wreaking havoc across Sanctuary through every town and hovel. Goblins have multiplied like, well, goblins. Also, it's the name of the podcast right there. That's the card Goblin Grenade. And as you progress through the reputation track, you'll increase your chances of cleaving them from treasure bags. Hunt them down across every world tier in the overworld, deepest dungeons, and across both eternal and seasonal realms. Eternal is the always forever realm. The seasonal is that thing I was talking about earlier in Path of Exile 1, where every couple of months it's a brand new mechanic is introduced. Everything's reset to 0. You start anew. There's an increased chance to see larger packs of treasure goblins, encounter greed shrines, which you get gold for every hit, and every 10 to 20 creatures you kill, a goblin spawns. A treasure goblin spawns. There's new variants now. The Odious Erector, this distasteful goblin spent more time rummaging through many a workshop and claiming various materials. On death, they drop crafting materials and granting obusite when found in torment tiers. Gilded Barons, our nefarious coin robber, is known for a base desire to cleanse every coin within claw's reach. Slay this goblin, earn tantalizing amounts of gold. I don't care for those, I have enough. I literally have billions of gold in this season of Diablo 4. Glittering Prim, this goblin sparkles in the sunlight, revealing nature entirely. This one is the gem one. Curious Merle is recognized for its distinctive purple hue, colored by the many obols they clutch. So this one drops the gamble currencies. Gelatinous Cyrus evokes the basis of human goblin kind, multiplying before your very eyes. Upon being killed, they split into 2 goblins. Slay this pair to have them multiply into 3. To claim their spoils, you have to kill the smallest goblins of the pack. These drop 1 legendary item with an increased chance of dropping additional legendary items at higher torment tiers, gold boss summoning materials, and a chance of an elixir. Fancy old Frederick is the stuff of legend, maybe even myth. Some believe this goblin to be so incredibly rare, its existence is even called into question. If you manage to even spy a fancy old Frederick, seize the opportunity. You may never get another one. You may never get this 1 in a million chance ever again. Managing to kill grants a mythic unique, a resplendent spark, and earns you bragging rights for all time. So, it's the Goblin XP event. And in Diablo, goblins are loot goblins. They drop various types of loot. They're also probably going to be an XP bonus. And I know there are going to be treasure bags that dropped with them that drop even more. And those treasure bags drop potions that are only available for the event, I think, that grant mega XP bonuses. So I'm going to be playing Diablo 4 for a bit before I start editing up this episode. Because honestly, tomorrow when this is going live, I'm probably playing Magic the Gathering for standard deck tech ideas. And if you've noticed, the commander wall, basically, there are 2 more decks with another 2 being built. I built 2 more decks. I built Niv Mizzet Visionary and Toten's Rats, finally. But dogs are going ape. That's telling me that I should end this right now. My name is Dom Douglas, the voice of XWW, here for Max Heroes and Villains YouTube channel, and may your top deck always be mythic. Why are Spider-Man packs so expensive?